2 days ago, the city of Chicago paused. Inside the United Center, the eyes of 20,000 people were fixed on one man as the #1 jersey ascended into the rafters. Usually, this ritual is reserved for conquerors, for the men who brought gold trophies to the city. Derrick Rose has no ring. His prime, that brief, blinding flash of lightning, lasted only 3 years. In the cold logic of statistics, some might ask, does he belong there? But Chicago does not love Derrick Rose for what he won. They love him for what he survived. He is a mirror. In his rise, we saw our potential. In his fall, we saw our fears. And in his return, we saw the resilience of the human spirit. This is not a story about a basketball player who got hurt. That is too simple. This is the story of a flower that dared to bloom in a war zone. This is the psychological autopsy of the rose that grew from concrete. To understand the silence of Derrick Rose, you must first understand the noise of Englewood. The south side of Chicago is a place where hope is a dangerous thing to have. Poverty, gangs, drugs. It was a survival experiment. Derrick was the youngest of 4 brothers. They saw a gift in him early on, a ticket out. So his family formed a protective circle around him. His mother Brenda was the gatekeeper. While other kids were on the corners, Derrick was inside, a prisoner in his own home to save his life. This isolation created his psychology. He learned that speaking drew attention, and in Englewood, attention could get you killed. So, he turned inward. He poured every ounce of his frustration into the game. But there was a ghost haunting Chicago. A ghost that Derrick knew well. Years before, there was Ben Wilson. Benji, the #1 player in the country, the first chosen one of Simeon High School. In 1984, Ben Wilson was shot and killed on the street at age 17. His death broke the heart of the city and created a trauma that lingered for decades. Every time a young talent appeared, the city whispered, "Don't let him end up like Benji." When Derrick Rose arrived at Simeon High School, he made a choice that sent a shiver through the city. He chose to wear number 25, Ben Wilson's number. It was a heavy burden for a teenager. It was a promise. I will finish what he started. He led Simeon to back-to-back state championships. But watch the tapes. No screaming, no chest thumping. It was the dark psychology of a soldier. He wasn't celebrating because the job wasn't finished. Getting out of Chicago was the only trophy that mattered.
The first pick in the 2008 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
In 2008, the impossible happened. The Bulls won the lottery with a 1.7% chance. The son of Chicago came home. From the moment he stepped onto the United Center floor, he wasn't just a point guard, he was a phenomenon. We had seen athletic guards before, but Rose was different. He moved with a strange combination of grace and violence. He attacked the rim like it owed him money. He contorted his body in midair, avoiding arms, absorbing contact, defying physics. He was too fast for big men, and too strong for small men. He was a glitch in the matrix. Then came 2011. At 22 years old, he looked at the dominance of LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, and he asked, "Why can't I be the MVP of the league?" It wasn't arrogance. It was pure belief.
Why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league?
And he answered it. He became the youngest MVP in history. He had the world in his hands. He was the prince of the city. But in tragedies, the hero who flies closest to the sun always falls the hardest. April 28, 2012. The Bulls were up by 12. The game was over. Rose drove to the lane. He planted his feet for a jump stop, a move he had done thousands of times since the playgrounds of Englewood. But this time, the concrete didn't push back. His knee buckled. The silence inside the United Center was deafening. The ACL tear. In a split second, the era ended. The championship window closed. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the mental torture. It's called kinesiophobia, the fear of movement. When your identity is built on explosive power and your body betrays you, your mind breaks. Rose spent years in the wilderness. Rehab, return, meniscus tear, another surgery. The Iron Man became Mr. Glass. The city that worshipped him began to turn on him. They called him soft. They said he was stealing money. Imagine the darkness of that. To go from a god to a burden. He was traded, discarded. New York, Cleveland, Utah, waived. By 2017, Derrick Rose was out of the league, sitting in an empty gym, wondering if it was time to quit. But the rose that grows from concrete is not easily destroyed. Derrick embraced a dark stoicism. He realized he would never be the MVP again. He had to kill the old Derrick Rose to let the new one live. Halloween night, 2018. Playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that picked him up from the scrap heap. That night, the ghosts disappeared. He wasn't playing against the Utah Jazz. He was playing against 6 years of pain, bucket after bucket. He was in a trance. 50 points, a career high. When the buzzer sounded, he collapsed. Those tears were heavy. They held the weight of the surgeries, the doubts, the lonely nights. It was the greatest redemption arc in modern sports history. He proved that even if you are broken, you can still be a masterpiece. And that brings us back to the Rafters. Why is his jersey there without a ring? Because rings are just metal. Derrick Rose gave Chicago something more valuable. He gave them hope. And then, he taught them how to survive despair. He is a reminder that life will knock you down. It will take your knees. It will take your status. But it cannot take your heart unless you let it. The concrete tried to crush the rose. But look up. The rose is still blooming. This is zero to glory. Glory isn't given, it is taken.